friends. Good morning. I'm Sergeant Dean Worthington, the Public Information Officer for the Columbus Division of Police. Thank you. On behalf of Kim Jacobs and the division, I'd like to welcome everyone here to celebrate the longest-serving Columbus police officer in division history, Lieutenant Karl Barth. I'll introduce a few people that are on stage here with us today. First up is the Mayor of the City of Columbus, Mayor Andrew Ginther, City Councilman Mitchell Brown, Director of Public Safety, Director Ned Pettis, Chief of Police Kim Jacobs, and Chief Jim Gilbert from the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Also, I noticed in the audience that former Chief Jackson is in the audience. Hi, Chief. This morning we're here to honor Lieutenant Karl Barth and his 56 years of service. Lieutenant Barth started his career back on September 25th, thanks, I'm glad you're here. September 25th, 1961 in the 29th recruit class. They called it cadet classes back then. And if you look at all these flags, his is back here, behind the podium, but it was way over there. We're over here now. To give you a little perception or concept, we're at the 128th class, so nearly 100 classes have come and gone since Lieutenant Barth has started. He's worked with 12 different police chiefs and 8 different mayors. Lieutenant Barth has met every sitting U.S. president since John F. Kennedy. That's 11 U.S. presidents. And he's been involved in the planning and execution of several first events that the city has hosted, including the first Red, White, and Boom, the first Columbus Marathon, first Race for the Cure, Jazz and Rib Fest, Arnold Sports Fest, Pelotonia, Pride Parade, and it goes on and on and on. Lieutenant Barth has clearly upped his mark on this division. You'll be sorely missed, sir. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mayor Andrew Ginther, who would like to say a few words on behalf of Karl Barth.
Well, good morning, and Lieutenant Barth, thank you. Thank you for your incredible service to this community. We are grateful for all that you have done. Navy veteran and our longest serving member of the best division of police in America. Lieutenant, we're grateful for you. And for the Barth family. Would everybody in the Barth family just stand up so we could recognize you? We know that officers don't serve alone, families serve. And so thank you for sharing this amazing servant, this amazing man who has made such a huge difference in our community. You think of all the events that he has helped make sure we're successful and people were safe. You think about the 56 years that he has served this community and how much this community has changed, and all the amazing events and the way that we've continued to grow as a community is because people feel safe and welcome here. And Lieutenant Barth had an incredible role to play in making sure that people from all over the country felt safe and welcome in Columbus. Mentioned all the sitting presidents he had met, and what he reminded me of before we started here today is all the folks who ran for president who didn't win. So you think about all the folks that Lieutenant Barth, it's important, and this is one thing Chairman Brown told me back when I was the safety chair and he was the safety director. You never want anything to happen to somebody when they're in your town, and Lieutenant Barth, for that long, kept all of those folks safe in this community and made them feel very comfortable in coming back here to do what they needed to do. Our economy is stronger, our city is bigger, and we are safer today as a community because of Lieutenant Karl Barth. Lieutenant, thank you. This is an interesting day of Circle of Service, so I'm leaving here early to go meet with community evaluators that are helping us recruit and bring in new police officers in the Division of Police. And so it's a great day for me as we continue to honor Lieutenant Barth and our great Division of Police. Lieutenant, on behalf of a grateful city and community, thank you for everything you've done for Columbus.
Thank you, Mayor. It's now my pleasure to introduce Councilman Mitchell Brown. Councilman Brown was the Director of Public Safety for 14 years during Lieutenant Barth's career. Councilman Brown.
It is an interesting time in a variety of different ways, Lieutenant Barth. Certainly, you have people here from a variety of different elements. We have Chief Jackson here, who you served with for many, many years. Hugh Dorian, who just came in, the city auditor, who's also retiring. Between you, Chief Jackson, and Hugh, I think we're talking about 2,000 years. I have to tell you, I'm going to simply tell stories about Karl. He and I were together this past weekend. One story in particular, because he was telling stories about me this past weekend. When I first became safety director, we had this meeting. We were talking about a new event that was coming on, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, what's it going to be like to deal with Director Brown? And he doesn't know this person, doesn't know that person." We had all these folks in my office, and I walked in, and I said, "Hey, Karl, how you doing?" And he said, "Oh, fine, Director. How are you?" And everybody like stopped because Karl knew me, and it's like, "How do you know the director?" People forget the fact that we worked together when I was the director for the state of Ohio. But the fun part was that, again, when we had presidents come to town and the Secret Service called me and they asked, "Is Karl Barth still there?" And I said, "Yes, he's still there." And they said, "All right, then we don't have to worry about it." So that's exactly the way I want to hear you talk. But one personal story that's really special for me with Karl. My daughter went to The Ohio State University, and I called Karl. There was some undies run where these folks are going to do their thing, running around in their underclothes. I called my daughter and asked her if she was not going to do that, I hoped. And she said she wasn't. So I called Karl and said, "Karl, she's not coming, so I don't have to worry. I won't be with you. It'll be okay." He said, "Don't worry about it, Director. That's fine. I'm glad to hear that Lindsay's not going to do that." About 45 minutes later, I get a phone call from Karl. "Director, Lindsay's here with me, and she's dressed reasonably appropriate in her underwear and her top." He said, "But don't worry, I'll take care of her." He said, I'll make sure she gets home safe." And I said, "Thank you, Karl. I appreciate that very, very much." What are you going to do with kids, right? But you got Karl Barth around, so you don't have to worry about him. But most significant for all of you to appreciate, Karl's the only person in the Columbus Police Division who can truly hold something over my head. Many years ago, at the Race for the Cure, a picture was taken of me with a pink afro wig. Karl Barth is the only person who has that picture. He has promised me that he will not disseminate it to anybody. But I'm sure, based upon the circumstances, it will show up somewhere. I got to tell you, folks, we were very, very blessed to have Karl. We worked together on so many events. When we did the Race for the Cure, he asked me to attend the roll call at 6:30 in the morning. 6:30 in the morning. I was there for roll call, and Karl would do his thing, and he talked about all the different assignments, and this and that and the other, and where everybody was going to be. And when he finished with all of that, he turned to me and he said, "Director, do you have anything you want to say?" And I would stand up, and I'd say, basically, one word or two words: be nice. And Carl, after the night, sit down, and Carl would say, now you see, it's exactly what we want you to be. Be nice. And guess what? We always had positive, wonderful events. I'm not just his director, we're friends. And that relationship has been sustained for a long, long time, and it was very evident this past Saturday when we were together at the crew game and we were both being recognized. He's a very, very special person, and like I said, on October 16th at City Council, we'll be doing a recognition of Lieutenant Karl Barth. So all of you are invited to come on down. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Karl.
Thank you, Councilman. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Director of Public Safety, Director Ned Pettis, who would like to present Lieutenant Barth with a gift from the Department of Public Safety. Director Pettis.
Well, Lieutenant Barth, I don't have any pink afro wig adventures to share with you.
We can get you one.
My wife would be the first protester of that. But ladies and gentlemen, it is a sad day. It's a day for celebration and recognition, and it is a day for sadness and bittersweet farewells. This man, Lieutenant Karl Barth, is about to walk out of these doors as a sworn officer for the last time after 56 years of service to the residents of Columbus. Along with him, he is taking a tremendous amount of anecdotal history and experience, which is a loss to our great city. While these 56 years makes him the longest serving employee in the history of the Columbus Division of Police, we recently learned that Fire Chief Walter Strickfaden served 60 years from 1906 to 1966, making Barth also the second longest serving employee in the Department of Public Safety. Lieutenant Barth could run a motorcade, parade, marathon, or OSU game day traffic in his sleep. And why? He created all those plans. He was also instrumental in the creation of many other CPD initiatives over the years that are still running strong today because of his input. And while he spent the majority of his career in the Traffic Bureau, some of his other initiatives included involvement in the creation of the Law Enforcement Explorer Post, the Mobile Crime Lab, and making the Freeway Patrol what it is today. He is leaving his fingerprint in many different places on this division, and his absence will be felt. Lieutenant Barth proudly talks about how he has had the good fortune to meet and shake hands with all the U.S. presidents, starting with President John F. Kennedy and each president since. To quote President Kennedy, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. We should all express our gratitude by living by the example set by Lieutenant Karl Barth. He was well liked by everyone, always the consummate professional, and continually had the best interests of the residents of Columbus and, of course, the fellow men and women of the Columbus Division of Police in mind." So on behalf of the Department of Public Safety, I wish you the best of health and enjoyment. You have made the city proud and have earned the right to a blessed retirement. Assistant Safety Director Kathy Collins will tell you about the presentation that we have for you.
Thank you, sir. Perfect. So Lieutenant Barth has been around so long, we figured a plaque was just another plaque on the wall. And since September 25th was such a special day for him, it was the day he started the department, and it was the day that he left the department. We're happy on behalf of the employees of the Director's Office from the Department of Public Safety to present you with this flag that was flown over City Hall this last Monday. So, congratulations.
Thank you, Director. I'd now like to introduce my boss, who would like to say a few words about what Lieutenant Barth meant to the division. The Chief of Police, Chief Kim Jacobs.
Well, good morning. So many of these words are words that I can speak from my heart. We talk a lot about our core values, and one of the things that the Division of Police is known for is our professionalism, and Karl is the epitome of that. He has made sure that when we are preparing for events, when we are preparing for dignitary visits, that we are the most professional agency that most of the outside agencies have ever worked with. And that professionalism has been there due to your leadership over 38 years just in the same position. So that has made a tremendous difference. The respect that we get is based on the respect that you have shown to so many other people. You've demonstrated it, you've shown us. So I'm your junior by I don't know how many years, but you have taught many people within the division that are still here and have retired, and the fact that so many of them are here today demonstrates how much you have made a difference in their lives, their professions, and what you've taught them over the years. The integrity of the division is something that you have never wavered in. Everybody knows that Karl is a straight shooter. Karl is somebody that you can go to. If he says it, it's true. And that is extremely important in our profession. But every time they said, does something need to get done? And Karl said, it will get done, it happened. We never had to doubt that it was going to be taken care of and taken care of in the right way. The discipline that you've had to maintain your ability to remain a professional police officer for 56 years, it's not easy. There's standards that we have to pass, and you have done that for 56 years, and that means a lot. Not very many people have the stamina and the desire to maintain those standards for that long. That means that you've lived not only a good life and a healthy life to be able to do that, but it also means that you've lived with the ability to maintain an awareness of the laws, the rules, and stay in good stead. So the fact that you've had the discipline to do that for so long is extremely important to us. But it's also enthusiasm. Have you ever seen Karl really for more than 5 seconds without a smile? Right? You always have a smile on your face. And even though the task might be large, you smile and say, well, it'll get done. And that's really important for us. I don't think I've ever really heard you complain, Karl. You know? I just don't. And I don't think you've ever met a stranger either. Well, I think you know everybody here, right? Because over that 56 years, you've met a lot of people, a tremendous number of people, but you know them. And you don't usually forget a face either. And if it is a new face, you get to know them very well, and they get to know you. You haven't had a lot of assignments, considering 56 years, and 38 years in one. But wherever you did work in the Division of Police, you've made a difference. You've initiated something new. You've created a new process, procedure, or ensured that what we have in place is improved upon. And that also makes a difference. So your enthusiasm to keep this Division of Police moving in a forward direction has been tremendous as well. So you've met presidents, celebrities, and the cancer survivors. Komen is largely successful because of your ability to work with event planners and make it turn into something that is very meaningful to everyone. And people don't come to places if they don't feel like they're going to be safe. And for every festival, event, parade, everything along those lines, that you have made people feel safe enough to not only participate, but to observe, and to be on the sidelines, and to be on the sidewalks, and cheer all of those events on, is because of the work that you've done and the work that you've inspired in other people. So I truly appreciate that. And the fact is that, you know, I might forget what I did last week, but you can remember what happened 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, and we've appreciated that encyclopedia of knowledge that you have, because we can go to you and say, well, why did this happen, or why did that happen, or what happened then, and you know. You've got the stories.
I've been here forever.
Some people think that. That's true. But, you know, it's not just being here, but it's also observing and knowing what's going on and being able to share that information with us. Because if we don't remember what we've done in the past, we might make a mistake in the future if we've done it the wrong way, or if we've done it the right way and we want to keep doing it the right way. So we've been able to rely on you for that, and I truly appreciate that. I can tell you that I've needed to know how Karl would do things when I want to know how to do things, and that's truly something that I think we all can appreciate. So we're going to miss your stories, we're going to miss your smile, because it's ever present. Your heart and your enthusiasm and your stories. So we have a job for you, though. You know, we're going to be opening up this museum someday, and who better as a historian would be you? So keep that in mind. We've got some opportunities for you down the road here. But thank you very much for making Columbus, our community, the members that have been through the division, come and gone, after you and before you, and are now already retired. But thank you for making a difference in our lives as well, the lives of our community members, and for sharing your 56 years with us as this family, knowing that your other family wanted to share some of that time with you as well. So I wish you well in your retirement. I hope that you enjoy every day of that and get out there and have some fun. And if you want to break a rule here and there, we won't hold you accountable or anything like that. But I don't have to worry about that, because you are the epitome of professionalism, and I truly appreciate it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd like to now call on Chief Gilbert, who's here to present Lieutenant Barth with a gift from the deputies and supervisors of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Chief?
Thank you. What a great opportunity to be here this morning or this afternoon. Sheriff Dallas Baldwin really wanted to be here, but he's out of town and on a cruise, and unfortunately he couldn't be here. So yes. So just a quick story. Mary, please keep Chief at bay over there. I heard when I came in here that you and him were going to head to the boxing ring because he's not too happy about you surpassing him on the longest serving. So thank you, Mary. Commander Meter, we can go ahead and close that area off. They're not going to use the boxing ring. So on behalf of not only the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, but probably the entire Central Ohio law enforcement, when I say entire, I mean well beyond even Franklin County agencies, Karl's knowledge, everything we've talked about with the visits, the amount of presidents that you've met, think about the line of duty deaths over the years and how instrumental you have been in preparing for assisting agencies beyond Columbus, beyond Franklin County and surrounding counties. You've done just a tremendous job to be an asset and to be always there to assist. So even though I'm presenting this on behalf of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, think of it as all of Central Ohio law enforcement thanking you. So I'd like to present this plaque to Lieutenant Karl Barth in recognition of your many years of dedicated service and cooperative law enforcement efforts in Franklin County. On behalf of this Franklin County Sheriff Dallas Baldwin, would like to present you with this plaque. I've got two other things here. A Sheriff's Office challenge coin. 601 was already assigned out, so I got you coin 56 for 56 years of service. Give that to you, as well as your own Franklin County Sheriff's Office 601 plate.
Thanks, Chief. Well, we touched on the fact that he's been involved in a few events. In addition to that, he's been instrumental in planning and organization of numerous visits from dignitaries all around the world. Without his input and expertise, downtown would not be what it is today when it comes to hosting these massive events. With us today to share their respective experiences in working with Lieutenant Barth are Mr. Darius Blackford from the Columbus Marathon, Mr. Mike Collins from Red, White, and Boom, and Special Agent John Shuck from the U.S. Secret Service. Gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. So here's a fun fact. For 36 years, the Columbus Marathon was led by an individual who never finished. Of course, that's Lieutenant Karl Barth, who drove the lead police car for all those years. That's almost 1,000 miles of marathoning, being chased by 250,000 people. I met Lieutenant Barth when I became race director in 2010, and it was to learn all the things I didn't know and what I was getting myself into. Granted, he first had to go to his files for that information, and many of you know what I'm talking about. We're not talking computer files. He's got this filing cabinet that goes back to the stone tablets. Real paper, fold-out maps, manila folders. I'm sure his office staff know this. Seriously, he's been a lifesaver, and not just because it was his job, it's because he really cared that our event has gone well. Like the time he called me the morning before the race. Have you been over to 18th and Broad? The road is gone. You might want to go over there. And I go over there, and the road is completely gone, ground down to the dirt. The sewers are sticking this high up out of the ground, 22 hours before the race. So I head over there. I look at the day. It's a game day Saturday. The construction guys are probably going to cut out early for the game, and if they leave, there's no race tomorrow. I find the foreman. I reach in my pocket. I give him $200 cash to please buy these guys lunch so they finish the job. Well, the work got done, and I have a feeling this man here knew all along what the timetable was, just like he knew everything else going on out there. So, sir, I have a small token of appreciation for you, but I took the $200 out, so it's just a card now. Seriously, on behalf of everyone like myself who put on events around this city, and everyone who's done the Columbus Marathon for all those years, thank you for all your help and support. We could not have done it without you.
Hi, Carl. I was tall and he had hair and it wasn't dark when we first met each other. I want to say, first of all, Councilman, Director, Chief, distinguished members of the audience, City Attorney, I'm sorry, I know there are many of you out there, I just can't see you well. On behalf of the Red, White, and Boom Board of Directors and staff, it's a pleasure to be here, but it's much more of a personal delight I can't thank Mike for asking to sit here. He's got 38 years in that role, and between the two, I have about 34. So he got started first, and he took care of me after that. But in all seriousness, it's a personal delight. But more importantly, it's one of the most humbled and honored invitations I've ever had to stand here before you. You have taken us from A to B to Z, shaping the view of Columbus from older city streets of yesterday to the national camera angles of today. I know those of us in this room and many outside, but not enough of Columbus, know that we are honoring one of the historic officers of all time to serve the Columbus Police Department. It's been a remarkable history, Mr. Barth. And what a privilege to work with you. From Ford, Carter, Reagan, to Bush, Obama, Trump, the first Red, White, and Boom, the first Columbus Marathon, the last 30-plus years of arts festivals, the first Jazz and Rib Fest, the first Asian Festival, etc., etc., etc. And of course, a few hundred little football games in a little place called Ohio Stadium. And not to mention significant national conferences, international conventions of prestige, Ameriflora, national broadcasts, quincentennial celebrations, 2012, etc., etc., etc. And let's just throw in a few thousand races, walks, parades for giggles. For scores of years, the ultimate question of us putting on events or doing anything downtown, trying to figure out a change here or there, or an alteration of this or that, in all those events, our question was, what will Karl say? Friends, Columbus's special events of all kind would never have been or become what they are today if not for some police officer and lieutenant named Karl. Now I get to have an aside here. Darius, and I don't know who's here and who's not, but to people like Darius, the co-executive directors now of Red, White, and Boom, Sean Veroff and Brandon Crow, Sean Kessler from the Arts Festival, Jason from Jazz and Rib Fest, Dr. Lou from the Asian Festival, and many of you in this room. You all owe me a little gratitude. I have ticked off Karl enough on a score of occasions over more than a score of years that I believe I contributed greatly to his softening, and I did it all for you. Chief, you know, you said you don't think you ever remember Karl without a smile within 5 seconds. I had a couple of those. They didn't show up in 5 seconds. Karl, we probably annoyed one another and made up enough times to doggone near be considered old married folks. And I want to thank the aging process for bringing with it a sense of forgetfulness and forgiveness to the point that I don't think you're annoyed with me anymore. In all seriousness, Karl, you have been so loyal to your job, this city, your fellow officers, and all our citizens. You have taught us all things we didn't want to learn. And you've even been willing to let us teach you a thing or two over time. Thanks for the lessons, tolerance, and for willingness to learn alongside all of us. From my vantage point, you have made the beginning of the Marathon Boom and many other events of yesterday what they are today, significantly celebrated events. Thanks for guiding and sharing you with all of us. And the gift I bring to you from the Board of Directors is a lifetime invitation to you and your family, or whatever you choose to call your family at that time, to, for the first time, join Red, White, and Boom in VIP and never worry about what's going on outside.
Well, as you heard, Karl's had a little bit of involvement with the Secret Service for the past 38 years. But I actually think, Karl, you should be saying thank you to the Secret Service for 2 reasons. First of all, we got you a lot of overtime. Second of all, I don't know what you would have on your bulletin boards if it wasn't for us. From those pictures, it's amazing to see pictures of our current president all the way back to Abraham Lincoln. That's amazing. In all seriousness, when I first came here to the Columbus office 7 years ago, one of the biggest things is notification of when we have a protectee coming to our district. And we have a lot of law enforcement in the area we have to notify and work out logistics and manpower. So when I first came here to the office, not sure who I should notify, and I asked around the office, they said, well, you call Karl. So I'm like, okay, that's Columbus, but what about Franklin County? No, you call Karl. So called Karl the first time, and for the next 6 years and 200 visits later, I just called Karl. Everything was taken care of, and I'm so proud to be able to work with you. And if it wasn't for you, our mission and the 200 visits that we worked together would not be successful. So thank you for everything you've done there. One good thing about Karl, no matter if I called him about a week's notification or during a campaign, a one-day notification, it was always the same answer. Okay, no problem. Thank you for that. On behalf of I got you 2 things. One is from our director. It's a director's letter to Karl. And just to summarize, he congratulates Karl on his distinguished career of 56 years, and then also thank you for his outstanding support for the Secret Service over the years. So on behalf of our director, thank you so much, Karl. told Karl over the years, I said, you're not allowed to retire during a campaign, so thank you for honoring that. The last thing we want to get from the Columbus and the Cincinnati offices is the highest honor the Secret Service can give is our Director's Award. And it says, in appreciation for your many contributions to support of the Secret Service mission and your selfless commitment to the ideals and principles of responsible law enforcement, this award is presented to you, Karl Barth. Thank you so much, Karl.
This is like a episode of This Is Your Life, isn't it? When we start our careers as police officers, we never start alone. Our careers are shared and experienced by those who love and care for us the most, our families. Lieutenant Barth's career is no different except for the fact that it was 56 years long. Today, Lieutenant Barth's daughters have joined us to talk a little bit about about their dad and what it was like taking that 56-year journey down that road. So I'd like to introduce his daughters, Jill Reed, Minnie McKay, and Amy Williams. Ladies.
Hi, I'm Mindy, and I'm the oldest. I got my dad's stubbornness and his ability to raise one eyebrow. I'm Jill. I'm the middle one. I got my dad's stubbornness and his gift of procrastination.
Hi, I am Amy. I'm the youngest. I also received my dad's stubbornness, and I'm also the high maintenance one, and pretty much the reason why my dad worked so much special duty.
We are very excited to be here today and so proud of our father. We debated wearing our Pops the Cop t-shirts from when we were little for one last time, since we figure he's the longest serving officer in history. We might as well be the longest cop kids in history. He's been around for 56 years because he's enjoyed his job, but especially because the CPD has been his family, and it's been our family as well for the last 56 years. Even though we're not 56, we're a little bit younger. He's been here the whole time, and the CPD has been a huge influence on our lives as well. We memorized our 10 codes like we did our spelling words when we were younger. It was a necessary thing to do because we would fall asleep listening to the radio sometimes, so we needed to know what was going on. On trips to our grandparents, it wouldn't be unusual to hear a call on the walkie, and if we were close by, we'd suddenly take our station wagon and we'd do a drive-by to see what was going on.
When we were young, we used to go downtown to old headquarters a lot, which kind of creeped us out oftentimes. It was a really old building. And one time when Dad was in public relations, he also worked in the old City Hall annex. Well, one time Dad took us down to old police headquarters without telling us why. Apparently they were filming a movie there dealing with the Attica riots, but he didn't mention that. As the elevators opened up, there was a mad dash of what we thought were prisoners rushing out of it. It was very traumatizing, and we still talk about it to this day. Thanks, Dad. But he thought it was fun. Some of you may also know that Dad started the 1st Columbus Division of Police First Aid Team for competition, and he was also a certified State of Ohio paramedic instructor for several years. So that meant that he taught a lot of first aid classes at schools, scout troops, and things like that. Dad, we're really sorry, but our other sister, Recessa Annie, couldn't be here today. But we do have a lot of fond memories of taking her out of her suitcase to hang out watching cartoons with us on Saturday morning, followed by an afternoon of splinting and bandaging our friends.
Growing up in our house, we had a lot of fun things to share at school. No other kids were able to say that their dad has driven the Batmobile. Sometimes we would get dropped off in school at a cruiser. And elementary and middle school is kind of cool. High school, not so much. Back before cell phones, our home phone would ring constantly with officers calling for special duty. And in a house with 3 teenage girls, we would always dive to get the phone. One evening the phone rang, and I was the first lucky one to get the phone. And the gentleman on the other end had asked for Lieutenant Barth. When I had said he was not there, could I take a message? He said, well, this is the White House. Immediately I laughed and go, yeah, Sure, it's the White House. So I took the message, but upon Dad calling them back, he said, yes, indeed, that was the White House and Secret Service. So after that, I learned to never doubt a message.
We have never doubted for a moment the support from the Columbus Police family. They've been there for Dad and through us through tough times over the last year and a half. And their support has been amazing. When he was in the hospital last spring, he had so many visitors that the info desk workers actually would they memorized his room number and then would just send people to his room. And at one point, Frank from the info desk had to come up to introduce himself because he wanted to meet the man that so many people were visiting. After his heart surgery, he had a lot of physical therapy, occupational therapy, respiratory therapy. However, it was the work therapy that came in uniform and over email that really seemed to make the biggest difference in his attitude and how he felt each day. Despite spending 56 years on the job, he's never interfered, or his job's never interfered with our family life. And now that we have kids of our own, our kids love to hang out with Grandpa. He's been a busy lieutenant all these years, but he's also been a PTA president, a band parent, scout leader, woodworker, husband, grandpa, and great-grandpa, and an incredible dad who raised the three of us on his own after our mother passed away. In fact, raising 3 teenage daughters on his own may be the equivalent of serving 56 years on the police force. He's always been there for us. In high school, we were all majorettes, so Friday nights were always very chaotic in our house. But Dad never missed a game to watch us twirl. And a little known fact that you might not know about him is he can run special events, but he can also twirl a baton. And it wasn't unusual to see him sitting in the lazy boy, and he'd just casually pick up one of our batons and continue twirling while watching TV. Despite being very busy with special duty, he was also very good at making sure we always had food and snacks for after school, especially anything that was made by Hostess. And he's also a very creative cook, and we've all learned our cooking and kitchen skills from our dad. But after you have hamburger surprise 20 times in a month, it kind of loses its surprise factor. We learned to be conservative in our cooking praise, or we would have to eat it again very soon. But seriously, his skills have improved over the years, and we've learned a lot from him, and he makes German potato salad much better than Schmidt's.
Holidays in our house were a lot of fun. Whether it's the roadkill Christmas tree that Dad found on the side of the freeway, a huge Easter egg hunt, or dressing up for Halloween, he always made holidays fun. He also knows how to vacation in true Clark Griswold style, with stops at every biggest ball of twine there is. We can also laugh now at one of his most annoying habits. Every Saturday morning in our house, we would wake up to him blasting Reveille over our house intercom. Apparently, that was his way of getting 3 girls out of bed from a safe distance. When all of our kids were young, they always told us how much they loved going places with Grandpa, because Grandpa knows everyone. Judging from the turnout today and the support he's received over the years, we think he must. Dad, we love you, and if you don't mind, we'd like to end this with a few life lessons you've taught us. I've learned there's always a possible shortcut to get somewhere, but to never ask for directions. And that it's most important to always help others.
We've also learned that if you act like you know what you're doing, everybody will think that you do, and you don't have to worry about it. And that we should always follow our dreams and always do our best. That a lot of things can get accomplished with duct tape, WD-40, and procrastinating until the last minute. And that if you treat others with respect, you will more than likely get respect back. Dad, all of your family here today loves you, and we're incredibly proud of your service, and we're excited to get to spend more time with you.
And Dad, we also have an award to present to you today, and we also have a special guest that traveled a long, long way to present it to you. Come on out. you who might not know, this is my son Joshua. It's obviously Dad's grandson. He's in the Army and he's been deployed. He wasn't supposed to be back for a bit, but he ended up getting back early, so he wanted to surprise Grandpa at his party tonight.
He was stationed down in Africa. Which area?
I was in Cameroon, Africa for 5 months. Grandpa, first off, I'd like to congratulate you on 56 years of service. It truly is impressive. I would like to read you all what Congressman Pat Tiberi and the House of Representatives had to say in this award to Lieutenant Karl Barth today. In recognition of Karl Barth on the occasion of his retirement, September 29, 2017. I am pleased to recognize Karl Barth on the occasion of his retirement from the Columbus Police Department. For over 5 decades, Karl has faithfully served the residents of Columbus, a record for his department. His tireless devotion to the safety and security of his community stands as a beacon guiding future generations to the noble profession of law enforcement. Karl's service will truly leave a lasting impact on Columbus and the countless friends and neighbors he's protected. In communities across the United States, officers such as Karl Barth willingly step forward and enter the fray to protect their hometowns. This thin blue line stands watch day and night, answering calls for help from friends and strangers alike. These brave men and women are among our finest citizens. Karl's professional example points others to the path of civil service and will undoubtedly leave a lasting impression as others follow his legacy. I am pleased to join Karl's friends and family in thanking him for his service and wishing him good health and happy retirement. Signed, Patrick Tiberi, Representative to Congress.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Grandpa.
Pat Tiberi, I've known him since he was a drum major at Northland High School.
Wait, Dad, while we have you up here, we have one more surprise guest for you tonight. I almost forgot. Come on out.
This is my brother. He's a retired police officer from Columbus. He taught here at the academy for
20 years.
Yeah, about 20 years. After he retired, then he was in the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and he is currently holding the rank of captain and chief of staff for an area in Florida.
Thank you. Congratulations.
I'd now like to introduce to you probably the luckiest supervisor in the division, because he's had the privilege of working with Lieutenant Barth for the last 2 years. Traffic Bureau Commander, Commander Michael Springer.
Karl, I can tell you that my short 33-year career here, that the last 2 years have really been 2 highlight years, and having the pleasure of serving with you in the Traffic Bureau. I can tell you, Karl, that I've learned more in the last 2 years than I did in the last 31 years before it. So thank you for that. And also, I want to thank you for helping to train your replacement, Lieutenant Mark Towle. And it took a year to get him up to speed. And I want to say that Karl showed the most dignity and grace that was ever displayed by a true leader by training the guy that would be his eventual replacement. So on behalf of the Division of Police and the citizens of Columbus, thank you. In closing out this remarkable career, I want to thank you personally, Karl, for your 56 years of dedicated service to the Division of Police. And I would like to ask your beautiful wife, Margaret, to step up to the stage for 2 quick presentations. Margaret? So it's always been a for promotions, to have a pinning ceremony. So on behalf of the Division of Police, Karl, I'd like you to stand so I can give you your retired CPD lieutenant's badge and have your beautiful wife pin that on. While you're both here, we'll face the audience there. And I hope we can unwrap this, Karl. But on behalf of the men and women of the Columbus Division of Police, the men and women of the FOP Capital City Lodge Number 9, and the men and women of the Columbus Police Reserve Unit, I'd like to present this small token of our appreciation for your 56 years of service. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mary did a very good job of wrapping it.
Dorian put his
I'll tell you what, rip that down like that. And it says, congratulations on your retirement. Sail away into retirement on a cruise, compliments of your CPD and FOP friends with deep respect and gratitude for your 56 years of dedicated service. So, Karl, it's now your turn to have a few comments and reflections.
Thank you. I don't know how I can follow all of that. Keep it short and sweet. I'd like to thank everyone for turning out today and all the people I've worked with throughout the years, both officers, deputies, highway patrol, all of them. Thanks for all their help to making my job easier in special events to get the job done. And then with all of the people themselves in the community that I worked with, as you heard some of them, Marathon, Red, White, and Boom, I can go on and on. They all were great to work with. I really liked working in the community, and thanks to the Division of Police for giving me the opportunity to do this. Without the job and the assignment, I would never have had the opportunity to say I've met presidents, starting with John F. Kennedy, through Trump. I've also met several of the candidates running for these offices. And then there's a couple of books I put together, 3-ring binder notebooks. They should be in the back, I believe. I sat down, my one daughter says, "Dad, why don't you put a thing together on who you've met?" I didn't realize I met so many people. Celebrities, VIPs. I also didn't realize I was involved in 15 movies that we made in town. I used to work Convention Center, Vest Memorial, Polaris. So those opportunities on special duty gave me the chance to meet many of the performers, musicians, and of course, working Ohio Convention or Greater Columbus Convention Center, I met a string of wrestlers. And then also, I've had the good pleasure to meet county sheriffs for several of the years, the elected county sheriffs, of not only Franklin County, but several of the adjacent counties, and work with them, because I don't think people realize when we put on the marathon, it's a huge undertaking. And thanks to the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, they not only supply us with deputies and special deputies, they also have given us their okay. They work with us so we can go to adjacent counties. And to fill red, white, or the Columbus Marathon, we had to use not only Columbus, we also used Franklin County Special Deputies, Pickaway County, Union County, Madison County, Delaware County, Licking County, and Fairfield County. Also, the airport police and suburban townships, all here in Columbus area, and the State Highway Patrol, just to fill the jobs for the Columbus Marathon. So it's a joint effort in the law enforcement community to make several of these here events work. It isn't me, it's good supervisors from all the areas, and working together, we get it done. Just like the Secret Service. When we have a detail, it doesn't matter what uniform you have on, we're one thought. We're there as law enforcement personnel to get the job done. And then special thanks to my family. The only other thing I can say, any young officers coming on, is just treat people how you would like to be treated. Now that doesn't always work. I've looked down the wrong end of some shotguns and had to talk some people down, reminding them of their family values and things. And I have had good luck. I've never had to actually shoot someone. I've come close a couple of times, but I've been able to talk them out of it. And most of the times, as I say, if you treat people the way you'd like to be treated, you have a good rapport, and you can work out most of the problems in the policing area. And Commander Springer, I'd like to thank you. I know you're the key person putting this together. Thanks.
You're very welcome, Carl.
And then through Commander Springer, he has put together a team. I don't know who it is. They've kept me in the dark. But I'd like to thank all the ladies and all the people that was on the team putting this together. With that, I'll shut up and get out. Thank you.
LT, happy trails.
Thank you.